On why I lost my job, and I'm here to tell you why. I lost my job because essentially when I first started working this job, I was replacing somebody who immediately had quit. I was working IT help desk tier 2 and 3, and I was working at a small law firm. So it was only 3 people that were supposed to be on help desk, one networking person, one applications person, and of course our big boss. So I was working with another person. We were supposed to have one more person that was going to get hired, but they couldn't find nobody. My coworker gave me the rundown for the job for my first day at work, and then he went on vacation for 2 weeks after that. So I was on the job 2 weeks, pretty much learning and figuring out things on my own, asking people questions here and there, and I was keeping notes. I'm a note taker and I like to keep receipts. So I made folders of everybody that I work with name. So when they would tell me things that were important in Teams or emails, I will save it in that folder. This came in handy with my applications manager who one day let a ticket fall through the cracks. He told me, hey, you don't have to do this. It's the networking team that has to do this. And he told me that verbatim in Teams. So I took a screenshot of the full window and I put it in his folder. Later on, this came to my advantage because 2 weeks later, a person complained and said, hey, why wasn't this done? So it came all the way down to me. And my manager wanted to talk to me because she said it didn't follow SLAs and that whoever it was has to get a verbal talking to. So they brought me down to the meeting room and they said this was in like something I was supposed to handle. I said, no, it was told to me that I didn't have to handle it. And she was like, well, where do you have the proof? So when I pulled up Teams, conveniently that message said this item has been deleted. And I was like, well, he did say that it's just deleted now. And he was like, no, I said something else, but I had deleted it because of something else. And I was like, oh no, I swear I have it. So what I did, instead of showing them I had a folder, what I did is I went to the printer, printed it out, and I pulled it up and I said, yeah, I remembered I printed this, and I gave it to them. From there, I put a target on my back because after that, nobody wanted to message me in Teams or email. They would only come to my office and verbatim tell me things, and I didn't like that. So I would always act like I was on the phone or too busy to talk, and I would just Teams them and say, hey, tell me. But it kind of went around the whole office that I keep screenshots and stuff like that. So people did not want to message me or ping me. They just knew to come talk to me verbatim. So from there, I started recording people on my company phone. So what I was doing, because I looked it up, in Washington, D.C., you can record a conversation as long as you and that person have a conversation. So when people would stop in my office and say things, I started recording them. I would just press record and start recording them and having a conversation. This, again, put another target on my back because one lady decided to start being aggressive towards me. She was wondering why her meeting wasn't set up. I said, it was set up, but unfortunately I had to go set up another meeting and you got locked out here. And the password is just your password. She didn't know that, all you need to do is log into Teams with your password and you're able to start that Teams meeting. She didn't know that because she was 80 years old. From there, she wanted to argue with me, but I stayed extremely quiet. And so she asked a condescending question. And for me, I'm just being quiet. So I just said, I apologize. Is there anything else I can help you with? She thought that, took it as an attitude. Mind you, I'm recording the whole conversation. She took it to my big boss. The big boss came down, sent me an email saying, people don't want to work with you because you have an attitude. So we're going to have a sit down conversation. I said, well, can you give me an example of these people that do not want to work with me? It's just so I know. So then she named that lady. And I was like, well, can you point me in what direction I had an attitude? And I added HR, I added my manager, and I added that video. And so after that, quiet, crickets. So then this happened on a Friday. I noticed on a Saturday, all my tickets were out my queue. That's when I realized they're going to fire me on Monday. So what I did is I went to the EEOC and I told them, hey, I feel like I'm working in a hostile work environment because of the fact that she said I had an attitude and people always try to label black women as an attitude when they're not in the wrong. Boom, that went to the EEOC. They could not fire me. Boom, they turn around, end up firing my big boss. But then they replaced my big boss with a man of color, a black man. And that's when I knew I'm getting fired because of the fact that it can't look racial if a black man is firing me. When he came working, he already knew about the closed EEOC, which I was just so confused about because why do you know that? Nobody's supposed to know that except for the people involved. But when he came and he worked, he brought me in the office and he was like, hey, I just want to make sure that, we're going to start off on a good foot because of the fact that I have already heard about, the incident that you had with your last manager. And I'm just trying to see how I can be of service, because we got to stick together. I did not trust him at all. So I was still recording people, screenshotting everything and everything like that. This is where a meeting comes into play. One day, I'm too busy working with a person with the user of the phone. I told my coworker, I said, hey, can you go start the meeting that's downstairs? She says, okay. She never starts the meeting. Mind you, I asked her this in Teams. Everybody wants to know whose fault it is. They're saying it's mine. I said, it's not my fault. I have a screenshot. They don't care about the screenshot. They're just like, oh, you could have put that person on hold, blah, 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 blah. They're coming up with all these reasons why it's my fault. And that's when I'm realizing, okay, it's coming down the pipeline because she even told me, she said, they told me I got to take some of your tickets now. And I was like, okay. So I started screenshotting everything because I had screenshots of how many tickets I took. I took more tickets than anybody on that team. I was answering more questions. I was doing way more work and I was working overtime anytime. So the fact that I was like, oh, you guys are firing me for no reason. So then one random freaking day, they call me down and they're like, hey, can you come down? We just want to talk to you. I said, okay, sure. When I get in there, HR's in there with a big packet of folder. Mind you, I had already cleared out my office because I already knew that it was coming. I just didn't know what day. So when I get down there, I already press record on my phone because if we're going to have a conversation, I'm recording it. When I get down there, they're like, hey, we just want to let you go because too many people are complaining about you. They say you have an attitude. And I was like, is this the reason why I'm getting fired? And they were like, well, and then my boss, who, mind you, he had just started like 2 weeks ago, he said, hold on, before we answer that, are you recording right now? I said, yes, I am. He said, well, I do not consent to being recorded. I said, so am I? He said, and that's why you're being fired. I said, I'm being fired because I'm recording. He said, no. I said, then what is it? Why am I being fired? And he was like, I do not consent to being recorded. I said, okay, well then they gave me my last paycheck, and then they wanted to give me a severance of just another 2 weeks pay. But since I already had all the proof because I emailed it to my personal, I decided to go ahead, take the severance package that they gave me, and I put it into ChatGPT, and I said, with this information I'm showing you, and I sent them all the proof I had, I said, what should I ask for? And ChatGPT was able to map out everything that I should ask for because of the fact that they were purposely making a hostile work environment. Now, it took a few weeks of us going back and forth, and ChatGPT was my lawyer in this time because of the fact that they got their lawyer to go back and forth, and they were like, hey, we could either, take it to court. I wanted to handle it very quickly because of the fact that I was going to a new job. I had found a new job. So basically I said, hey, what I want you guys to do is I don't want you guys to speak on this, speak on me, or say the reason why I was let go. Nobody is going to contest my unemployment, and I would like a larger sum because this is what it says, how long it takes to find a new job. And so I got a large amount of money from this company because they realized they messed up. And that's when they said, well, if we're going to give you this large amount of money, then we would like all the proof that you took from the company and we want it back. So we ended it like that. I got a large check and I was able to file unemployment without them contesting it. And then later on, I found a job in November and I started reworking again. And that's the end of why I lost my job. So let me know what I did wrong. Maybe I'm not seeing it from the optics that other people are seeing it from. But according to that check I got, I ain't do nothing wrong.
This story was absolutely crazy, wasn't it, y'all? But she did everything right. She recorded, she documented, she filed with the EEOC, she negotiated her severance package, and she made sure that they were not going to contest unemployment for her. This is a master class in what you do if you feel like you're being targeted, if you're working in a hostile work environment, because ultimately a firing is coming and you just want to make sure you have as much evidence as possible. If you don't know me, y'all, my name is Portia, and we talk about all things economy here, and I help people find remote jobs. So if you're looking to work from home, if you're in the job market, and you should always be in the job market, especially with these videos, y'all, make sure to check out the link in the description. I have a free tier and a paid tier of my Patreon where I vet job leads for you. No AI slop, no random job postings. Everything's vetted by me. Check it out. Use code MEMBER for 20% off your first month. Let's go ahead and get to this next story time.
Got fired after just 1 week of working. So I decided to use my special interests, the skills that I have of garment construction, to find a job in alterations. So I did it super old school. I just called a bunch of alteration shops and stopped by and gave them my card and my resume. After the first day of doing this, I got a job. And in this job, they asked me if I knew how to do very simple alterations, and I said yes. But the thing is, I am a self-taught designer, which I told them, so I know how to do alterations my way, not the proper way. And they said this was just fine. I even brought an item that I made and they were like, wow, you made this? Like, this is so good. And this particular alteration shop was looking for a seamstress, so that's why I got the job quickly. So I come in for my first day and they're teaching me how to do alterations their way. First, the trainer was like, show me how you do it your way, and then I'll let you know if that's how we like it. So that's exactly what I did. I did the alterations the way I knew how to do it. And if she didn't like it, she just corrected me and showed me how to do it the way that the shop does. Okay, so boom, now I'm learning how to do proper alterations. They are training me at this point. And when you get any job, it's obvious that you have to train the new person that is in if you want the job done the way that you like it. I was only working at the alteration shops 2 days a week. After my first week, I got a call at 9:30 telling me not to come in the following week. When I got this call, I was honestly so confused because I'm like, why are you letting me go? You literally taught me how to do the alterations and I know how to do them now. And now you're letting me go. I feel like that's a waste of money. And then the trainee was just like, oh, you're just not fast enough. And then we also have to teach you. And then the owners feel like they wasted $500 on you. I was super passionate and devoted to the job even after a week because I love making clothes and clothes is my special interest. So I loved being at the shop. This is the same place where the owner was talking about how people don't want to work for the passion of the work. They just want to work for money. And then they basically said they wasted $500 on me trying to train me in 1 week, which I already got the training. So I went back to the alteration shop to get my final check. And I was like, let me vouch for myself and just prove to them that I really enjoyed the job and it was a good experience for me to have. When I got to the alteration shop, I kid you not, I told the lady I enjoyed working here and thank you for giving me the chance. And she straight up started screaming at me. She started screaming at me. She started calling me a liar. She said that I didn't know how to sew. She said that I didn't even know simple things about sewing or simple things about alterations, which was simply not true. She was like, oh, I wasted all this money on you and we wasted all this time. It was disrespectful that you did that. And she felt like that I bamboozled them. I just thought it was extremely odd for you to hire someone and then have to train them to do the work how you want it to be done and then get mad at me because I had to get trained. I don't understand where the animosity came from or the anger came from. I tried to hold my tears back because I didn't want to cry in front of her. She was screaming at me in front of everyone. Once I got to my car, that's when the tears started flowing. They started flowing. I just didn't know what to do. I just felt so sad that this situation ended this way because I truly enjoyed the job. Employers can be so rude and so disrespectful, and they act like the people that they're hiring are not human and they don't have emotions. Because why on earth are you screaming at me over alterations? Alterations, for God's sakes.
Y'all, this one really made me upset. Why is the lady yelling at her? Especially if she was respectful and kind and just expressing her appreciation for working for her. I want to know who this girl's mom is. I hope she went up there and addressed the owner appropriately in regards to the situation. That's just what I'll say about that. And I hope that this sweet young lady finds something that's really a good fit for her. And this was really a blessing in disguise because it's better for her to see the kind of people she would have been working for sooner rather than later. And as always, all of the links to the creators mentioned in this video are in the description, but let's go ahead and move on to the next video. Let me know what y'all think about this one for sure, though.
Didn't I tell y'all I was gonna get fired? I got fired yesterday. They made me work almost the entirety of my shift and then fired me around 3 o'clock for something I didn't do. So my boss calls me into a meeting on Tuesday and she says that on Friday I clocked in at 9, but I didn't work my first account until like 10:45-ish, which is horseshit because I wouldn't go a whole hour and 45 minutes without touching anything in Epic because Epic literally tracks everything that you do. And I know that because I've worked with Epic before. After that conversation, she says that she has to pull an Epic report to see when I'm logging into Epic and when I'm rolling around there, you know, working in there. You could see all of that in Epic. You could see all of that. And I know that. Apparently, the Epic report comes back saying that I'm working off the clock. I'm working 15, 7, 9 minutes after lunch, after I clock out for lunch and after I clock out for the day. I'm like, what? I have never. She has stressed this since the very beginning. Like, if you work until 4:35, you have to clock out at 4:35. I can't clock out at 4:30 and then like finish what I have to do and then clock out because they'll see that. And I know this, and I wouldn't have done that because one time I was cleaning my office on a Sunday and I don't know, I guess it alerted them. And then the next day she asked me, she was like, hey, yesterday were you on? And I was like, no. And she was like, it says you were on. I was like, I was cleaning my office and I moved my mouse and that's it. And that was literally it. And it showed that I was on. So why the fuck would I do shit after hours or after lunch knowing that? That was at the very beginning when I first had started. So when they pulled the Epic report, she called me on Thursday to show me. And I'm literally looking into one account. And I'm like, I notated this account at 4:26 or 5:26 my time. So she says, it says you were working in there 15 minutes after. I notated the account at 4:26. Why would I still be in the account 15 minutes later if I'm done with the account? It makes no sense. She was like, if there's something you want to own up to, you should do so now. I said, I'm not going to own up to shit. I didn't do it. I'm not going to own up to it just to make you happy, just because it says it on your fucking report. The fuck? So they called me yesterday at 3 and told me because of the severity of me breaking the rules of not working until later time and working off the clock, that they're going to have to fire me effective immediately. I'm like, okay. And that's perfectly fine, because out of 2 out of 3 jobs that I interviewed for, I got offers. So, bye.
I got fired from Walmart. Let's talk about it. First things first, they pulled me in to the office to fire me 20 minutes before my shift was about to end. I was literally sweating at this point. If I would have known that that was their plan the whole time, I would have not worked as hard that day, that's for sure. I got fired because my bosses lied to me. I came in on one of my days off to take a different day off. Manager said it would be fine. Something just came up. There was no problem at all. Got approval. Came back, fired a week later. Please don't mind the ice maker in the back. It's funny because I've done that before. I've switched my days off because something came up, and never had an issue. I know other associates who do that. Never been an issue. If you have a couple managers that might be out to get you, they may use that as a way to get you fired. So just keep that in mind if you plan on doing something like that. Biggest thing I learned, don't trust your manager. They swore up and down. I was like, do not let me down. Please, like, you're guaranteed, like, you're gonna clear the point for me. I'm not gonna get fired. They were like, nope, you're good. You'll be all good. She was not good.
So for the past 30 plus days, we've been asked to focus on some key areas of opportunity outlined in your performance improvement plan. Well, I want to acknowledge that there have been some improvements that were made while on this PIP. Your performance did not reach the level we had hoped to see in order to meet the minimum expectations of the PIP. And the decision has been made to end your employment. Okay. This is effective today. You will, of course, be paid for your full day today, but your access to SEI systems will be removed shortly following this meeting.
Y'all, if you get a PIP, that is your sign to immediately start looking for another job. Those almost always lead to termination. They're building their case against you. So just make sure once you get on that plan that you are actively searching for other employment. Don't quit, because if they fire you for performance, even if they come up with this plan that you don't meet the expectations for, still file for unemployment, because if they can't prove misconduct, then there's a strong possibility that you will still be approved for unemployment. And remember, you guys, this is why you should join my Patreon. I have free and paid options. The paid options are really what you want, but I post some great job leads in my free Patreon as well, where you will get vetted remote work from home job leads Monday through Friday. It's $19.99 per month. You can do a 7-day free trial where you can test it out, cancel at any time, but you're getting hundreds of job leads per week, all vetted by a real human, you guys. So always stay ready so you don't have to get ready. And if you like these kind of videos, make sure to like the video, share it with somebody who you think may enjoy it as well. And I will see y'all a little later. Bye, you guys.